Welcome, good people, to Mpumalanga for the launch of the new Triumph Tiger 1200 model range. And to mark the occasion, we were greeted with delightful English weather. The 1200 is obviously a big deal for Triumph because people keep buying big adventure bikes. And it's this market that could make or break a brand. So Triumph started with a clean sheet and built something brand new from the ground up, starting with a new look.
I like it. I find it a clean style, like streamlined style, quite angular. There's a simplicity to it, and I like the styling.
There is nothing about this new model that it shares with the previous one, including new versions. The road models with mag wheels and a 19-inch front wheel are called the GTs, while the dirt versions with spoked wheels and a 21-inch are fittingly called the rallies. It goes further because each is available as either a Pro model with less gadgetry and a 20-litre tank, and the Explorer model with more electronic wizardry and a 30-litre tank. The list of new features is lengthy. Certainly too lengthy to fit into this meager half-hour TV show. Heck, it's probably too lengthy to fit into a 24-hour TV show marathon, so we shall touch on some highlights. The biggest being the weight. Triumph has shed a massive 25 kilograms off the Tiger. That's colossal. To put into perspective, imagine filling a large jerry can with water and strapping it to your bike. That's what Triumph has managed to lob off. Depending on the version, the weight is between 240 and 255 kilograms wet.
The weight claim is absolutely 100% valid. The old Explorer, I think it was a big heavy bike. This bike, these two models are both possibly even bigger, but they're lighter.
The bike doesn't feel like a big bike. It doesn't feel like a 1200. And it is really easy to just dart through the traffic. We went through some of the traffic, so it opens up on the twisties, on the straight road, and then through traffic as well. Very easy to maneuver it around the corners or in between the traffic.
Obviously, on any big adventure, comfort is key, and Triumph doesn't want to be left wanting. The previous model was criticized for giving the rider the odd gust of hot air from the motor, but not so on this model. It features new sideways mounted radiators that cleverly sends the hot air out the side. That, an adjustable screen, heated grips and seats, and great ergonomics make for a winning combo.
I think the most important thing on a motorcycle like this are ergonomics. You want it to be comfortable. It's an adventure motorcycle. It's a sports tourer. It's a wow. And they've nailed it. The sitting position is upright and comfortable. If you pop your nearest and dearest on the back, you'll see in some of the graphics that the lady sits up really high, or your passenger, excuse me for saying, your passenger sits up really high, easy to look over your head.
So when I climb on a bike, my body feels comfortable. I don't have to adapt my riding style to the bike. So the only thing I did on this bike was I rotated the handlebars minimally, like maybe 2 mils. And then my body posture, especially for off-roading, is comfortable. My legs can be slightly bent, my elbows out, and I can just move. I can be flexible on the bike. And it's very responsive, a little bit of weight and it's there, it's feeling it.
With the new bike comes a new motor. It's still a triple, obviously, with 1160 cc's of pistons pushing 148 horsepower and 130 newton meters of torque. What has changed is the firing order. The cylinders fire in a straightforward enough 1-3-2 order, but not at regular intervals. Instead of going 1-3-2, 1-3-2, it goes 1-3-2, 1-3-2. This irregular firing order is designed not so much to give more power, but rather more predictable power. And it does it in a delightfully subtle manner.
That 1200 motor, really love that thing. The tractability and the torque in that thing is pretty insane, so I enjoyed that.
Roll on the throttle, very responsive, even in 6th gear, to just overtake that car in front of you. We were told, it does the 1-3-2, so I wasn't really aware of that sound. I didn't pick up on that, but I did feel that it was a very smooth engine, and it's actually it's so quiet. You can't, it's really quiet and smooth Smooth response, yeah. But I didn't pick up on the 132, the 132, Britain.
The chassis too is completely new, narrower and lighter, saving 5.4 kilograms off the previous model. The most noticeable change is the swing arm that hosts the traditional shaft drive on the one side and a new triple link design on the other that sheds 1.5 kilograms of precious unsprung weight. The new suspension is from Shower and is electronically adaptive, automatically adjusting both preloads and damping through 9 ranges of settings from stiff sport mode to spongy comfort.
For me, it's the tech of the bike, what they've done with the tech. That suspension, that adaptive suspension, that's really, really cool that you can adjust that on the fly, the dampening. If you want it soft, you can have it soft. If you want it harder and firmer, you can adjust all of that. So that for me impressed me.
Played around a little bit with the damping and sort of found I really liked the harder suspension on it.
I need to give a nod to the suspension setup. You put it into the correct mode and it just does everything for you. It's excellent. The off-road section we did yesterday was every adventure biker's dream. It was rutted gravel, it was some fast jumps, it was a nice gnarly little piece down a hill and through a river and all that. They have built such a competent motorcycle.
The chassis is not the same for each version, with differences between the road-orientated GT models that are designed for faster turning and the rally versions that are designed for stability off-road. So the GT is better on the road and the rally is better off-road. Well, that's the idea.
For me, I found the rally with the 21-inch wheel, it's perfect on the road. It's not as nimble and as agile as a smaller wheel, but it's more planted. So that's a subjective thing. It's a personal feel, and I prefer that planted feel with the bigger wheel. And it also helps off-road, which I haven't done much of. We did it on the launch, but yeah, it really did help.
For some reason, the 21-inch wheel bike feels better on the road, to me. It's more confidence inspiring, it feels more fun. In fact, it feels like a whole different motorcycle.
We've touched on the electronic suspension, but that's only the start. This motorcycle has every bit of tech you can think of, including new daytime riding lights, a new easy-to-use dash, 6 riding modes including an off-road and off-road pro mode, full connectivity including navigation and the These 3 Words location app, and very noticeably, a 2-way quick shifter that is adaptable and will learn the rider's shift patterns.
And then add to that engine, it's obviously got a quick shifter up and down, and I find it really, really cool, especially for a person like me. I don't enjoy quick shifters because I'm a lazy rider, so I like to short shift, go up quickly. And this thing here, even at slow speeds and you just want to go up, it literally it flows. It's so smooth. Unlike any other bike where at slower speeds you kind of struggle. So for me at slower speeds I normally clutch, but this does perfectly at low speeds, high speeds, whatever. So I enjoyed that with the quick shifter.
I'm a slightly older rider and I've been doing this for a very long time. And I've always thought that the electronics is a case of it's baffling brains. But what I found over the years is the electronics are just getting better and better, and they are slowly but surely making a lot more sense to me. And the one thing I need to comment on the new bike is they've made it far, far simpler than what it was on the old one.
What is noticeably missing from the barrage of latest electronicals is an adaptive cruise control that is being used by all of Triumph's European counterparts. That doesn't mean it doesn't have radar. It just means that instead of attaching it to the front of the bike to measure distance to the vehicle you're about to rear end, it puts the radar where your eyes can't see.
The radar system, the blind spot monitoring thing, that's really cool. I mean, you only see that in cars. I've only seen it in cars, so seeing it on a bike is really, really cool.
How it works is that when a vehicle comes up either side of the bike, especially in the blind spots, a light on the relevant mirror will flash, warning the rider.
The second thing I liked about that was coming through the forest. It was exceptionally dusty, and you're kind of standing up and you're going for it. You're concentrating more on what's ahead of you than who's behind you. And the Triumph photographer Joe, who's a very fast rider, was actually behind me. You can't hear his engine because the exhaust is so quiet on these things. And the only reason I knew he was there because I saw a flash in my radar light. I thought, oh, I looked back and there he was. I tapped off, moved over, and he could overtake. So in that world scenario, it's a very cool addition to any motorcycle.
We rode through the hilly countryside of Mpumalanga, enjoying the British weather that, despite being miserably cold and wet, didn't dampen our spirits, especially on the off-road bits.
Loved it. Suspension was great. We had a route which went through the forest, through some sort of softer terrain, and then through some jumping. Very easy to maneuver, very responsive, great ergonomics, standing, sitting, very, very comfortable.
For me, it was the first time doing off-road. I was a bit hesitant in going off-road. So it was my first time and I actually nailed it. For some reason I nailed it. But I think it's thanks to the big wheel, the tech on the bike. I mean, you've got off-road mode and off-road pro. Not a pro, so I used off-road. And it actually went really, really well. I thoroughly enjoyed that for my first time.
Then again, it's not like the GT road version is terribly shabby.
The road bike is fantastic. Smaller wheel, easy to ride, carves beautifully, turns well, great power.
As we said, this is a mere highlights package of the new Tiger 1200. The full list of features will take days, but one aspect we have to mention is the price. Obviously it's tricky because there are 4 different versions and each has different add-ons. Nonetheless, the price of the new Tiger 1200 is between 285,000 Rand and 335,000 Rand. In South Africa at least, that makes it the cheapest of all the big European adventure bikes. That's some good going.
In my opinion, they've done a really excellent job. And watching the hype at the beginning of the presentation, you kind of think, could it really be as good as what they say it is? And the answer is a resounding yes. They've done their homework without a doubt.
From the forests of Mpumalanga to the forests of Germany. Apologies for any interference you might hear on the sound. There's a bit of a breeze and enough bird life here to grace the most tropical of jungles. Anyway, there's no doubting that Triumph has come out with a serious weapon with its new Tiger 1200, and it hasn't exactly been shy about how it is unashamedly targeting BMW's 1250 GS in the process. The idea is to put something out there that not only competes with, but actually exceeds what the legendary GS brings to the table. Don is already working on riding both head-to-head, and I have to say I'm very much looking forward to that. In the meantime, let's take a break, after which we have some hero talk and another shout out for #DeliveryDisasterSA. I'll explain more about that in a moment.